You're watching Moontower Soccer's Story of the Week, where Landon Cottam and Jeremiah Bentley discuss this week's most important, consequential, and interesting Austin FC news. All right, should we get into the story of the week now, Jeremiah?
Let's do that. So maybe the closest thing, maybe this is the apocalyptic event of the week, was that this Austin versus San Jose game, which was like chaotic and amazing. So Austin, I think for the first time in history, grabs a second straight come from behind victory at home, winning 4-3 over the San Jose Earthquakes.
First victory against the San Jose Earthquakes as well.
Right, ever, breaking a 7-match skid against San Jose. And now Austin sits on 9 points and 8th place in the Western Conference. It was everything. I think I posted, I remember if it was on Slacker, if it was in Slacker on Twitter once, that it's okay to be like mediocre and exciting, but never mediocre and boring. And I feel like this is very much a mediocre and exciting Austin team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take if every game were like this and we're still just like a borderline playoff team, but every game was exciting with that, I'd sign up for it. I'd be okay with that. I'll say though, on my rewatch, I was still nervous, like knowing the outcome. The last like 40 minutes of the game, I was nervous watching it on the replay, which is crazy. Like this is how insane this game was. But I guess where should we start here, Jeremiah?
Yeah, let's go with something we talked about a little bit before we went on air. Was just the idea of wide open soccer, and for me specifically, when Austin goes up 3-2 after those 3 goals in 6 minutes. This is a game of first. I believe that was like the most goals Austin had scored in rapid succession in the history of the franchise too. So after they scored those 3 goals, the fact that they just like kept playing wide open and didn't slow the game down either through controlling possession. Like I could have gone for a little horseshoe to sadness, honestly, in that moment. Like they didn't do that third possession. Josh Wolf did not make defensive substitutions to sort of slow the game down. And ultimately, like a third goal from San Jose comes out of that. Like I was not excited at that moment. And I am not a like, let's bunker now that we have a lead kind of guy. But it felt like that moment, the game was just like so ragged that I was not surprised when that other goal came to tie the match.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like the through line for this whole game is, and kind of the state of Austin FC right now is trying to find that balance. They played those first several games, putting Ring and Valencia deep in the midfield together, trying to be more defensively solid. We couldn't score any goals. We revert back to 2022 mode with Danny as a lone 6. We're moving the ball forward. The offense is clicking. The just movement and rotation is all looking really good. We're keeping the ball. We're winning a possession battle and scoring goals now, but we're open in transition again. And I think this is talking about that moment late, like in the second half, where we go up, and then I think a thing that Austin has lacked in certain moments is kind of a killer instinct. And I think last season we saw this some where we would go up and then we would lose a game still. And on one hand, I like the attitude of these Austin players saying, no, we're going to put this one away. We're up 3-2, but as Brad Stuver catches the ball in the box, he's going to launch a counterattack 3 times in a row. And it's like, okay, I like the attitude of we're going to put this game away, but you need to find that balance, right? And I think Brad Stuver would probably tell you. I think all the players would tell you. I think Josh Wolf is probably talking to these players all this week about like, okay, I like the attitude, but let's maybe pump the brakes in that moment a little bit. And and I think do you substitute when you're 3-2? Because there's still a lot of soccer to be played at that moment. Would the narrative be, if you say you sub in Valencia, is the narrative then, oh, we bunkered too early and then San Jose scores anyway? Like,
I mean, that's an entirely possible narrative. So this is very much like me, and possibly being hypocritical from other things I've said on past shows, but like in the moment in the stadium, you talked about being nervous for the last 40 minutes on the rewatch. And on the rewatch, one thing I really keyed in on is just how down I was when San Jose scored that second goal that was called back right at like 28 minutes or whatever. And then so then when Austin comes back, I really felt like that 3-2 lead was like, okay, we've done it. Let's just sit on it and pray. And maybe that is not the most, the best decision overall, but like just in the moment, it seemed like there was not a lot of intent, I guess. If we were attacking with purpose, like that was great, but it was like we were attacking with angry feelings and like Brad being super pissed off. And I don't know. That was not my favorite way of playing this game.
And in a game where we were keeping the ball, we were using the ball fairly well. And I think we ended up with 15 shots. Driussi had 4 shots in this game, which is like, it didn't sound like a lot. That's more than most players get in a single game. Like getting 4 shots off is good for a player. Like in that game, I think you're entirely right. Like there's no need to play into San Jose's hands. San Jose wants it to be chaotic. That is where they thrive, is in chaos. And I think in that moment when the players are on this high, they're scoring goals, they want to go get another one. Yeah, I think the right answer is pump the brakes. Let's calm the ball. Let's calm things down a little bit and keep the ball like we've been doing. Let's go get more chances the way we've been getting chances this whole game. And instead, they just played right into what San Jose wanted, of making it an emotional game, making it a chaotic game. And San Jose was able to bring it back. Luckily, Austin still won it because not singularly, but a lot to do with just Driussi looks like old Driussi again.
Yeah, not singularly, but almost singularly. Driussi being himself in a lot of moments, despite his current haircut, which is something that continues to annoy me. So we talked a bit about it being a super wide open and chaotic game. I feel like the officiating also contributed to that. So we ended up seeing 2 goals that were called back. I believe that both the goals were called back. I felt that was the right call. Both of them. Both the O'Brien. We can get into celebration later. We're going to get into a lot of this later in the specifics, but baby celebration, amazing celebration. Listen to Moontower for like what Mike and Steph will say about it. And the other one was I don't remember when it was, but like that looked like a handball that was not called late-ish in the game, I think.
That's 53, the 53rd minute. And I disagree with this call. I think Paul Marie's arm is hanging straight down, but his body posture is such that his body's leaning forward. And so as that arm's hanging straight down, like it's not next to his body. Like straight down and next to the body are not necessarily the same thing if your body is not going straight down as well. I think this is super clear that he made his body bigger. He stopped the ball from going in. Lucas Spalla and the VAR team disagreed, which I don't. Yeah, I understand the theoretical argument, but in practice, I think they got this one wrong.
This is one of the moments in the rewatch today or yesterday. Well, and today too, because like it was so exciting. I rewatched it twice. That when Austin was sort of protesting and calling for that to be a handball, I feel like Alex Ring took leadership in that moment, even though he's not wearing the armband. And I feel like I saw a lot of that from Alex Ring in this game particularly. Was I just keyed into that more, or did you also see this too? Like I felt like Alex Ring was de facto the captain this game, maybe more than any other game. I don't know if it was just because there were so many times when they had to talk to the referee about what was going on that I noticed it more, or what. But I wonder about if he's not playing as much, what does that mean for the club in terms of what he does on the field in leadership?
Yeah, I mean, Alex Ring's not going to stop being Alex Ring because he has a piece of elastic on his arm. Like he's not going to change who he is. Also, like in certain moments, like Driussi's English is okay. It's not amazing though. And so like with a referee who doesn't speak Spanish, like I think Ring's probably the better person to go have a conversation anyway. But Ring was calming Driussi down in some of these moments.
Oh yeah, that was the thing I think it made me notice the most. He was telling Driussi like, cool, be cool, walk away.
Which to me, like I don't care that much about. If it's a problem in the locker room and among the players, that's one thing. But if they're all fine with it, if they're all fine with their role and happy with their role, I do not care. I think the captainship is slightly overrated. If refs were more strict about actually only allowing captains to talk to them, I might have a different opinion on it as well. That doesn't really happen. And so, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with it if the players are fine with it. If they're not, that's a different thing. But yeah,
They seem to be.
it doesn't
This club seems to be,
necessarily
right?
bother me.
Yeah. And I think the other dramatic officiating play was like how Brad Stuver bodied a guy and didn't get a red card. So they called this an orange card play. I mean, he didn't make it.
I didn't think it was a red card.
You didn't? Okay.
No. I think the only way it's a red card, I saw there's a San Jose writer on Twitter claiming that he expects there to be a review and for Brad Stuver to receive a retroactive red card for violent conduct. Do you think that was violent conduct?
What is the difference between violent and reckless? I feel like he wasn't making a play on the ball, and
that's
he
a yellow
knew what
card.
he was doing.
Reckless is a yellow card. And so I think the only two ways you get a red card is if it's dogso, which Biru was there 2 feet away.
Which it wasn't because Biru, maybe Biru should have been playing the ball, but whatever. I think he saw what Brad was doing. So never mind.
Biru was beat. I think Biru was beat. And so like Brad was already off his line. He's like, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. I got to go now. And so I think the only two ways it's a red card is if it's violent conduct, which I don't think it was. It was a blatant foul. Wasn't trying to hurt anybody, didn't go studs up or anything like that. So foul in a reckless manner, yellow card. It's no dog so because Beer's there, yellow card. So I don't think there's any way this is a red. It's risky and scary, but I think the call was right on the field.
Okay, I can't argue against that right now. So let's go to my other question. Knowing this Austin team and sort of the players have come in from the offseason for right now until the summer window happens, like, is this knowing sort of what Rubio, Obrian, and Biru bring in the offensive zone and seem to thrive in this sort of like open, chaotic system? Like, is this the best way for Austin to get results with the roster that Austin has today?
So what are you calling open? Because I don't the way they played in the last 30 minutes, I don't think is the same way they played the first 60 minutes.
I would say the way that this team has played in the last two games versus the way this team has played in the first 4 or whatever. Because they've definitely been more open. There's been more transition. There's been more flexibility in the way that people play. There's been a lot of possession, but there's been like less structured possession. And I feel like what I guess stuff like the people who have been acquired in the offseason are the players who thrive most in more of an free-flowing and less dogmatic system.
I mean, I don't think what they've done. I think what they've done the last 2 games is very much a system. They're not making it up. This is positional play. Like, they're not. If you watch the patterns that they're doing, it's very structured, and they're like the triangle rotation of Ring, Rubio, and Driussi all kind of floating into the half space and into the 9 position. The triangles set up on the wings. This is still positional play. They're just doing it good now.
I guess I don't know what that looks like because I haven't seen it in 4 years.
I don't, and this is my big question: is like, why? Like, what changed? Like, why were they so bad at it before and so good at it now? And I think part of it is Driussi and Rubio clicking. Part of it is like, as much as in these transition moments, like, it's Danny Pereira is a liability. Some of these other players are liabilities in these moments, but it's what makes the offense tick. Having Alex Ring further forward, like, yeah, he would be better in these defensive transition moments if he were deeper, but his intelligence and movement within this system is part of what is making the clock tick. And so, again, balance, like trying to figure out how to play in a way that makes the offense work without being a sieve defensively. And I don't know if we can do it with the personnel on this team. I don't know if we can do both.
Yeah. If you have to pick one or the other, I guess we're picking the more entertaining one now, which
Yeah,
makes
that's
us
the
all
one
happy.
I want.
Yeah. And it's the one that's led to two straight wins. I mean, regardless of the opponents, like Austin has played poorly against bad teams before, so you can't just like blame it on the opposition.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
we'll get into this as we get into more of the details of each goal, but I think with how this team played, with some minor tweaks, like they can be less open in the back. It was not necessarily all structural. It was a lot of decision making on the field that led to some of these moments. And we'll get into those as we go through the goals, but that gives me a little bit of hope. Who knows if the players are have the disposition or the ability to make some of these changes that we're going to talk about, but there are some things that could have been done differently that do not affect our attack that would have made us more defensively sound in some of these moments. And so I'm interested to get into some of those and discuss them.
all right, let's do that. Let's take a break and let's kind of get into the details of the game. Like this has been a good opening. I'm excited about. Man, 1-7 goals is fun to talk about, regardless. But yeah, let's do it, and we'll get into the specifics of these issues with the club.
If you like this video, you can listen to the full episode at moontowersoccer.com or wherever you get your podcasts.